Good morning. It's Friday, November 18th, and Harvard and Yale have decided to part ways with U.S. News and World Report's college ranking systems, a place where they have been for many, many, many years. Apparently, they feel that the News Report, U.S. World and News Report ranking systems does not take certain things into consideration when ranking colleges. And so after a relationship of I don't know how many years, got to be 40, maybe 50 years, Yale and Harvard law schools have decided to not participate in those school rankings. The deans of both law schools made this announcement on Wednesday, and they criticized the publication's methodology and argued that the list actively perpetrates disparities in law schools. Now, are they saying because of the listing that the law schools, for some reason or other, are teaching incorrectly? I would think that it's the ranking system's job to bring out the differences between the colleges. If somebody is really looking at this listing to find out how good the school is for their child and the costs associated with college, shouldn't this listing be an honest place to look at and see exactly what's going on at those schools? And I believe that's a very difficult job. It's extremely difficult to rank colleges around the country effectively. You've got to pick a certain set of rules to go by and stand behind those rules. I don't know what the rules of this publication are with determining how good or how bad a law school is or a college is. Now, the dean of the Yale Law School admitted that the publication faces an impossible task. There are 192 law schools in this country, and you can't have a one-size-fits-all metric to accurately depict what's going on at such varied institutions. Now, I would think that when one goes to law school, the law is the primary thing that they're learning about. But I believe that the teaching methodology has to vary from school to school, and the students surely vary from school to school. So I don't know how U.S. News and World Reports can come up with a single, one-dimensional methodology for determining the best schools and the best colleges. And the dean of the Harvard Law School agreed with the dean of the Yale Law School. And one of the major reasons that they expressed a dissatisfaction with the U.S. News and World Report ranking systems. And one of the major problems that they have with the ranking system is that the ranking system has a money metric that ignores school-funded loan forgiveness programs in calculating student debt. So, if the U.S. News and World Report's ranking systems gives information about the costs of college in their ranking system, and they don't take into consideration the many, many loan forgiveness programs that exist at Yale and Harvard and at every Ivy League school, and a lot of schools around the country. So part of the ranking system ought to say whether or not you can go to this school and whether or not you can get a loan or some kind of financial assistance that is not going to put you in bankruptcy. That would be a very important feature. So if U.S. News and World Report won't listen to Yale and Harvard expressing dissatisfaction on this one point alone, and that may be just one of the points, but that one point alone is a critical point in my mind. Because at the cost of college education, if you can't, in good conscience, tell students that yes, this is the great number one school, but it's going to cost you a fortune. However, this is a great number two school, and you can go there for a lot less money. I think that would be a very, very important feature to any college ranking system. It's not all about the grades. It's not all about the education and the level of professorships. There's a lot of money at stake here. And if U.S. News and World Report doesn't recognize that fact, then they are not doing a good job in their ranking system. So I don't know why Yale and Harvard pulled out so suddenly, but I suspect that Yale and Harvard had some talks with U.S. News, and U.S. News took the position that they needed to do their ranking systems using this single metric methodology. And I think the real issue here was that U.S. News are not prepared to spend the additional monies needed to do the research with respect to the monetary value of education. And so I think that U.S. News took this position about their single metric methodology because of the cost factors involved with the additional work to provide that information to all of the needy students and parents who are going to look at their world rankings and expect to get the true picture of education. So I think U.S. News and World Report is at fault here, and I think that Yale and Harvard were kind because they didn't put them on the spot and say that they were defending their methodology because of the costs involved with changing it. Now, U.S. News and World Reports and Harvard and Yale have put the college-seeking universe in a flux because the general public needed that report. They need to know where to send their children for the best education at a reasonable cost. So it would be a great idea for U.S. News to change its metrics. And it would be a better idea for Yale and Harvard to fight for that and not abandon the college ranking systems. Because this country needs a college ranking system. And it needs the monetary value system. So why don't they fight for that instead? Or why doesn't every college have the right to include their cost systems in these ranking systems and save U.S. News the trouble of going to do all that research? There's got to be a better way than just jumping ship. So that's what I have to say this morning. This country needs education. We need more educated people. For a country our size to have only 25% of the population college educated is a disgrace. So I leave you with that this morning. Another notch in our belt. Bye.